All right, cool, man.
All right, cool. We're recording. And we have David Ernally. He is here to represent a little bit of an older demographic, the 30 plus demographic. Everybody else
I
I've been
forgot you're 12 and you shave a beard in your face.
Everybody else I've interviewed has been 18 to 23. So you're the old man of the group.
All right.
Which I think is important because you have a lot of life experience without texting, but a really good amount of your adult life was spent with texting being an option.
Oh, right. Sure.
Where everybody else I've interviewed has 100% of their adult life, they've had texting, and it's been a big part of it.
Right. How old were you when you had texting in your, was this always around or what?
Middle school.
Middle school, that's when it was invented? Like in your head?
That's when it
became
really took off. That's when everybody was texting. I'm sure it's existed a little before that.
Sure.
But I remember like as a kid growing up, it was, you go out with your friends and then you just go home at a certain time. You don't text your parents where you are. But by the time I was in high school, it was, okay, text me when you're coming back.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I had a pager, dude.
You had a pager?
Payphones.
Payphones?
Oh yeah, dude, I miss payphones. Payphones were sweet because you'd never have a quarter, so you'd have to try to hunt one down. And everybody did pay with cash back then. So credit cards were just for debt, and you did not pay with debit cards or anything. So yeah, no, it's kind of funny to reflect on that.
You're representing age well. I like this so far.
Thanks.
You've already done it back in my day. This is great.
Back in my day, yeah.
So first question, how often do you text?
I try to text as little as humanly possible.
Why is that?
Because it's stupid. I think it's the lowest form of communication that possibly exists. It's the written language, and there's no context to basically anything except if you put a period instead of not putting a period. You know what I mean? It's it's very easy for it to be, your brain doesn't process it well in the form of a communication. It's much better for us to be doing a face-to-face like this. I mean, you're still not in the same room with me, but we're able to connect, and you could see, body language and all that, that goes into it. So
do you think there is a time where texting is super useful?
I think it's good for an emergency situation. I think it's good if you have to quickly figure something out. Because, if you didn't, think about all the things that we would do that get delayed. But then again, it puts in motion all the things that we can do more quickly. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's is it really one is better than the other? Or is it just kind of altering reality for us? So
I think you probably already answered this. One of the questions I've been asking is, do you feel that texting is something you can have a long conversation with, or it should be used for short information?
I mean, I have most definitely used text messaging for all sorts of communication. I'm sure everybody's had long, I don't know. I mean, I try to use it as little as possible now, but nobody teaches you how to use it. So, I mean, I've had long conversations, I've had back and forth conversations, I've had conversations that, get delayed by a week, you're just kind of continuing a conversation, but it's over a slow kind of long period of time. I don't know. I don't think is there a right way to use it,
That's why we're here. That's why we're asking these questions.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I wanted to do this topic specifically is I don't think it's one that is talked about or discussed enough. I think there's a lot of problems we run into with texting, and instead of actually thinking about what's causing them, we just blame the people we're talking to or other things that aren't the medium itself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The medium is the message.
Yeah. Because I've had a lot of issues where a simple miscommunication through texting has resulted in a real life, stressing of a relationship.
Well, the medium is the message is a phrase by Marshall McLuhan, who was a great philosopher on communication and electronic media. And he said, basically, the conversation is you can only have a certain type of conversation depending on the context of the tool that you're using to have it. So, your conversation is influenced by the tools that you're using. So whether it's face-to-face and just your vocal cords and ears, or if it's cell phones, handwritten, sorry, the Italian in me
It was almost a really good intellectual point, and then you just
I
had to
know,
put your
right? And then I just
microphone
ruined
away.
it. Yeah, I know.
It's all
See,
right.
this is nobody takes me seriously.
We'll edit that in post. Do you feel that you act differently over text messages?
I mean, it represents me in the form of a text message. I don't know. Part of that takes place in the mind of the person who's reading it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't help 100% how they perceive what I'm thinking when I'm writing it, because the medium is not communicating all the complexity of the communication. And would I have said that thing had I been face to face with them? The conversation would have been entirely different.
So, how do you often read text? Do you put a lot of effort into making sure you're trying to understand their tone and their purpose behind the messages, or are you pretty reactionary?
I mean, I used to be very reactionary. Again, nobody teaches you how to use it. If you know, the fact that you can get like a million messages a minute kind of thing, like that makes all of us kind of go a little bit more haywire in the way that we approach using it. So, what was the question?
Um, do you make an effort to try to infer the tone and the
I
meaning?
guess now, I think I have a better understanding of how people, I don't know, I just don't prioritize it as a communication form anymore. And that at least takes my emotional attachment to it out of it. And if people are trying to have like a long conversation with me, I'm like, okay, you can call me, or we can, we can take it, use the instantness of this to elevate it to a different kind of conversation.
Okay.
So
Something I think you might be interested in when I was doing research for this topic. Apparently, when we're texting, something they've noticed in some people is a new type of brainwave is formed.
interesting.
So you can observe this new brainwave. That means our brain is reacting in a way that it doesn't react to anything else.
When it reads a text message,
When someone is texting, reading and then sending text messages.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's probably different chemical combinations that kind of result from it. There's probably new forms that, your brain's always moving and changing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an organic computer that has to decode and all that stuff. So, it's connecting one probably language center with the visual side in a way that would not be the same had we been face to face. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
That's what the guy
it's got to skip around and
that's
do
what the
different
guy was
stuff.
saying. It actually just hits a bunch of different parts because your
Yeah.
brain is trying to grab a lot of different like things at once
Yeah.
to
It
try to
probably
make sense
changed
of
our
this
brains
text.
when you think about it.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of positives for how reflects on the brain.
Yeah, I'm not anti text message. I just think it's vastly overused. Just like I think the email is vastly overused. Like snail mail is vastly overused. I don't know. I guess it's like, I mean, nobody's using carrier pigeons anymore. When you bring back the pigeon, I'll text you with a pigeon.
We need to bring back the pigeon, David
Yeah.
Ornale 2020. Um, have you ever noticed that you have very different experiences with people over text versus when they're in person?
Say that again. You kind of cut out.
Have you ever noticed with certain individuals that you have a different experience with them over the phone texting versus when you see them in person?
Oh yeah, no, I mean anything really. Like, I mean, social media, anything. You're forming a different. It's sort of like a digital ego that one is being projected on their end, and then two is being received on your end. So you form kind of a picture of who they are.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, and then last one is, have you ever caught yourself being unreasonable or untrue to yourself over text, and you were able to really look at that and go, "That's not me. That's not David Rinaldi."
Now that I mean, yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that part of who we are can get overly stimulated by it's an electronic device. You know what I mean? It's like it's influencing us as much as we're trying to influence it. We think that we're the ones using it, but it's a very back and forth kind of thing. And then you're adding in layers of people and more electronics and everything. So, yeah. What was the original question?
Just have you ever caught yourself being unreasonable or untrue to
Yeah,
yourself?
I think yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I think that now that I'm more weary of electronics, and I try to use them as little as possible, it's like I cut out a lot of the things that I use it for. I cleaned it all up, and it's there, and I have to use it, but I really don't want to use it. if I could not use this device, I most definitely would take the opportunity and chance. But then again, here I am having a conversation with you, you know, over the computer. So
Yeah, I didn't want to drive 30 minutes to your house.
yeah, right. No, and actually I was thinking about that. Now that like the events industry is kind of shut down, I mean, what that really exposed was a lot of bloat in the system. You know what I mean? It's like there were tons of events happening, but like clearly they didn't need to happen. You know what I mean? Or like they could have been done in a different way. So it's kind of good that we have the ability to call each other, because that does cut out a car ride
Yeah.
from the situation. Granted, we have, you know, electronic devices and tons of metals and all this stuff, and there's no real good way to recycle them. But I don't know, man. It's kind of who knows what the right answer is. I mean, we could just try our best with all of it. So
Great. I think that's a great sentiment to end on, unless there's anything else that you have to say on the topic.
no, I think that we should. I think that if there's anything that I've learned, whether it's from going to mass communication school to using it in my business to using it in my personal life to everything, that like, you know, choosing the way you want to use the stuff was not given to us outright. It's just it's everywhere, you know. But eventually, you can learn how to use it in the way that you want. Make it work for your life. So
Great. Well, thanks, man.
cool, man.